Welcome back to another episode of Architects 3D Printing. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to make original and customized Christmas presents for our friends, relatives or family, etc. It will be very easy and fast to make, and does not need a lot of knowledge with 3D printing. In essence, it will be a box with the shape of a perfect cube, where we are going to make different images or scenes in each of the 4 vertical faces, printed with the lithophane technique. The box will be open on the top, so the heat and the fumes produced by the candle we are going to put inside to illuminate the 4 scenes of each side can go out. We will have 6 3D printed parts in the end. We'll first print the 4 scenes that will appear on each side, and after that we will print the 2 parts of the frame. For the scenes we are going to use white PLA, and for the frame you can use any color. In my case, I'm going to use gray PLA. Alright, so now we are going to start the real process in our PC. The first thing we have to do is choosing 4 images to show in each of the 4 vertical sides of the cube. In my case, I have created a folder with the pictures that I'm going to use, and once we have our pictures selected, we are going to optimize them for the lithophane process in CUDA. Essentially, we will follow 4 steps for each scene. The first step will be to cut every scene in a perfect square with a 1:1 aspect ratio. The second step will be to saturate the image to eliminate all the colors. The third step will be to increase the contrast to the maximum so the dark and the clear zones will be better differenced. And finally, we're going to increase the brightness if the image is too dark, so we will use less material in our print. So let's start with the Merry Christmas image. We will right click and go to Open with Photoshop. Now we are going to cut the image to a 1:1 aspect ratio. After that we are going to press Command U if you are in Mac or Ctrl U if you are in Windows, and we will desaturate completely the colors and click OK. Next step will be going to Image, Adjust, Contrast and Brightness, and we will increase the contrast to the max. After that we will increase the brightness to make it more clear since the images are quite dark. Once we have this picture, we are going to save it as JPG. For that, we will go to File, Save as JPG, or just press Command-Alt-S and save it as JPG with the name of Scene 01. Now we have to repeat the process with the 3 other scenes. I am going to extract the other scenes from a picture of my birthday with my family. So we'll right-click, Open with Photoshop. Now we are going to trim the image to a 1:1 aspect ratio, and we'll move it to adjust 3 different scenes. The first one will be my grandma and my father's scene. So we'll crop it, and now we're gonna repeat what we did before. First step, Command U and desaturate the colors completely. If you are working on Windows, you can mostly replace all the commands where I say Command for the Control key in your keyboard. Now we are going to adjust contrast and brightness. We will increase the contrast to the max and decrease the brightness a little bit to make it more clear. Now we are going to press Command-Alt-Z to undo the last steps, and again repeat the process. Now we have to do the same 2 more times to obtain the 2 scenes that are missing for our box. Alright, so as you can see, here we have our 4 images that we are going to show in the 4 scenes of our cube. Now what we're gonna do is go and open CUDA. And once the software is open, we are gonna go to our folder and we are gonna drag and drop our first picture. You will see that a menu opens automatically. Here we have to do some adjustments. We'll start with the size, and we're gonna set it at 100 millimeters. Then in the menu we are gonna check if as higher as darker is selected. We're also going to change the base to 0.4 millimeters, that is 2 layers, and we will also change the height to 2 millimeters. And finally we will press OK. Once it's loaded, we can see that our picture that was in 2D now is in 3D. Let's watch it in the layer view. Alright, so here we have it. This is gonna be our first picture. Now we are gonna check the configuration. We're gonna deactivate the border We're gonna activate the fan. We're gonna set the printing speed to 60 millimeters per second and the displacement speed to 120 millimeters. For the temperatures, we will set the bed temperature to 70 degrees, the nozzle to 200, and that's okay. The infill is okay to 25, and now we have pretty much everything ready. It will take 1 hour to print. So now it's time to export the G-code and load it into the printer. For that, we will click Save on File, we will select G-code and we will save it in our desktop. Now we have to repeat the process 3 more times for the other 3 scenes. Then we will load the 4 files into the SD card and we will start the printing on our printer. While this time-lapse is playing in the background, I have to tell you that I had to change some of the adjustments in the printer. The first setting that I changed was the nozzle temperature. I set it up at 205 degrees. And I also turned off the layer fans since we don't need them in this flat print. I also reduced the printing speed down to 45 millimeters per second since the filament was not extruding properly. Alright, so while the 4 scenes are being printed, let's have a look at what we have done and what we have left. When the 4 scenes will be finished, we will have 4 squares that will look like this with a dimensions of 100 by 100 millimeters and a thickness of 2 millimeters. If we divide these 2 millimeters by the 0.2 millimeter layers, we obtain 10 layers. That is what we said before. If we look at what we have from the top, we will see our 4 scenes more or less like this, and the only thing left is the actual structure. For that, we are going to make 4 pillars, 1 on each corner of the box, and finally we will also add the bottom part and the top part that will have a big hole to evacuate the heat and the fumes produced by the candle. When we have the bottom part of the structure, then we will just insert the 4 scenes from the top, and then we will put the candle inside, and finally we'll put the cover on the top. Alright, so after the sketches of the explanation in the paper, I'm gonna show you the time-lapse of my workflow in Rhino. If you want me to explain the whole process step by step, you just have to leave a comment down below in the comment section. Alright, so once we have our 3D model finished, we're going to go to CUDA and, as always, set up the printer and export the G-codes that we will load in the SD card, and we will start the prints. Anyways, if you're not planning to model everything in 3D, I will upload the STL files and I will put the link in the description and you can download them. Okay, so now, after a lot of hours of printings, we are gonna take out the last piece from our bed. To get these very shiny results, remember that you have to wash the glass and never touch it with your hands. Alright, so now we have our 6 pieces that we will need for the present. At this point, what we are going to do is to assemble. For that, we will insert all the 4 scenes from the top, and finally we will install the top part of the frame. Here we have our present finished, and the magic comes when we put a candle or a light inside. If you like the video, please don't forget to hit the like button and feel free to leave any comments if you have any questions or any suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel here, and please consider to support me on Patreon to keep making it possible. For regular updates in my future projects, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram as Architects3DP. I will link you my accounts down in the description. See you on the next video.